It is 11 o'clock. Hello, everyone. My name is Bates. I am the very proud owner of Gallup Technology Group. We are an IT consulting company / managed service provider. We provide managed services for law firms, construction companies, and medical offices, and many other industries. One of the things that I'm proud of and I'm excited is the amount of information that I'm able to gather with my team when we do all of our research about how to keep small businesses, medium-sized businesses protected. Our clients are divided into two sections. One of them are small client. One section is small clients that we are their sole IT service department. That includes obviously cybersecurity and other cloud services, etc. The other part of our client group is clients that what we call co-managed. Those are clients that businesses that have an in-house IT person or an IT team that need a company like us to help them with managed security services, basically. Usually an IT person in-house doesn't have the time or the ability to branch out and understand what cybersecurity requirements are looking like these days, and providing IT services and IT security for small businesses or bigger businesses with or without an in-house IT team is challenging, mostly because of the main reason that most companies don't have the understanding of risk management when you don't have the right people in place that can deal with that all day long. The topic today is tech solutions for enhancement, efficiency, and productivity. I'm lying. I'm reading the wrong thing. Our topic today is risk management and how small businesses can and should look at risk management when it comes to the business owners or the managers. I want to explain real quick before we start, and I promise you it's going to be pretty fast and we're not going to take over more than the time that we promised you. I want to make sure you understand the terminology first. Risk management is basically the way that we identify, evaluate, and address risks. Every business these days should worry about risk management. Every business today should have a focus and somebody dedicated in their team to deal with the management of those risks. It is for every size business, any industry, and on top of that, the goal behind risk management is to make sure that your operation continues if something is to happen. It's industry standard to say these days that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Everybody will get hacked or breached, etc. eventually. It also helps with compliance and with that, financial stability. Imagine the cost of a downtime if you have 5 employees or 500 employees. If you can mitigate that risk, if you can eliminate or minimize that risk, that is going to save you a lot of time and money. So there are two terms, risk management and risk assessment, that I want to cover as well before we get to some of the nuts and bolts. Risk management is basically when you are identifying and evaluating the potential risks. For example, outdated software or bad passwords or unsecured devices, third-party Internet of Things type of solution connected to your network. I'll give you a very quick example. I spoke about it a couple of times in my previous webinars. There was a casino that a few years ago got hacked because of the smart thermostat that was inside one of their beautiful aquariums. There's a third-party company that can control the aquarium temperature, and they have a little camera that showed them the condition of the water and other sensors there. They needed to have that thermostat or device connected to the internet in order for that aquarium maintenance company to be able to remotely connect to it and control it. Through that aquarium service company, that casino got hacked. So that is part of a risk, the risk assessment side of it. What doors are open? Where are you vulnerable? What can be done to prevent issues? And then we have risk management, which is basically planning, acting, and monitoring those risk responses. And the best example I want to give is doctor diagnostics. For example, you're going to get an assessment, you have a skin tag you want to check. You're getting the risk management. You're managing that risk because you are doing something proactively about it. And then if you are treating the risk because it's, God forbid, cancerous or it's something that needs to be removed, you're already at the management of that risk. You have to manage what happens over there. So there are a few steps that every small business, medium-sized business, I don't really care how big you are, very basic steps that will generalize what it is that you need to worry about if you're a manager, an owner, or a security officer in your company. The first step is to identify assets and risks. One of my favorite sentences is, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. You cannot protect devices that you don't know exist. For example, you need to know who your people are, where the data is, what systems are used in the company, where are all those systems, what cloud solutions you have, which vendors have access to your network, who is your IT company or MSP, managed service provider. All of those things are assets that you need to be able to identify. And then you want to map the threats. For example, any business today is connected to the internet. Now you have cyber threats, like malware, for example, viruses, keyloggers, etc. You have physical threats. For example, your server is not secured, or your laptop that has a local offsite copy of all of your cloud documents, because you want to make sure that if you have no internet, you are still able to work on your documents. So you download all of your documents to your laptop, or 50 employees do that. Now you have 50 locations that are a threat physically as well if they're being stolen. Another example of physical threat is not just a server or laptops. It's also network plugs, or Wi-Fi, of course. If you have not secured Wi-Fi, we had a client that we just started working with a few weeks ago. They haven't changed their Wi-Fi key for about 7 years because they didn't want to annoy the employees that are there to have to join a new Wi-Fi with a new password. They had about probably 60 employees that came and left during those 7 years. Any one of those employees can sit in the parking lot of that building and join the Wi-Fi from their laptop and now browse the network as a hacker. So yeah, you disable their password for their email or maybe for the server or whatever, but many small businesses, medium-sized businesses don't have a procedure, a process to offboard a user correctly. One of the things that we do in our MSP, for example, that I recommend anybody that owns an MSP or own an IT department or whatnot to try to mimic that. If you have an offboarding checklist, or if you ask your client to fill out a form for offboarding an employee, one of the questions that we have, and you should all have, is, would you like us to change the Wi-Fi passwords? Why not? Worst case scenario, people have to type in a new password. It is what it is. That's another thing we're going to talk about if we have time. How can we avoid that need to begin with? Why, for example, would any employee have any Wi-Fi access from their cell phones or personal devices to the admin Wi-Fi? Hopefully you have a separated Wi-Fi network for guests and for in-house admin network access. Why employees cannot just join the guest network? And if they are joining with a Wi-Fi, with a laptop, they don't need to know the password. You can just inject that password to their laptop, and that's another way to do it. There are other mechanisms with Wi-Fi that you can set up the users to log in, having to log in with their computer username and password to join the Wi-Fi, or their network, or their Microsoft 365 credentials. This is another way that you can eliminate some of those risks, because when you disable that user from your Microsoft 365, for example, it will automatically prevent them from being able to join the Wi-Fi. So identifying the assets, but also the threats. Then we want to analyze the threats and the vulnerabilities that they bring to the table. So threats are basically items that are potentially harmful, and vulnerabilities are weaknesses that threats can exploit. We use a lot of tools to mitigate those risks and to analyze those threats. There are vulnerability scans that have to take place. penetration testing, etc. If you can think of another method to mitigate or analyze threats, I would recommend that you look at people. People are one of the biggest threats over here, so why not eliminate that threats, not eliminate the employees, of course, but why not look at the education of those employees, or how much power you give them over the data, how much access they actually have based on what they really need compared to what they really need. Are those hand in hand with what your threats should look like? You can't prevent access from everybody, but you can definitely minimize the threat by minimizing access to some people for some data. So step number 2 was to analyze threats and vulnerabilities. Step number 3 is to evaluate and prioritize those threats. We want to make sure that we use probability times the impact matrix. If you're not sure what that is, easily Google that. We don't have time to, unfortunately, go over that today, but there's a way to calculate that. You want to prioritize the high likelihood and the high impact risks. Obviously, this is a very basic summary of those steps. There's a lot more to it, but if you get anything out of today, it's those few steps, and I simplified it as much as possible. So not knowing what risks you have and what impact they're gonna have if they're exploited, and then prioritizing them based on the high impact and high likelihood will help you drastically eat that elephant, because we have to eat that elephant one bite at a time. It is not a simple process to minimize, let alone eliminate risk if it's even possible. Step number 4 is to mitigate and monitor. Mitigation tactics, some of them are to avoid some of the risks, transfer some of the data, reduce some of those people that have the access, or sometimes even accept the risk. You want to just be able to monitor that. Continuous monitoring is a key. It is important that every business doesn't just install something and forget about it, thinking that, yeah, I have a program that eliminates something or that prevents viruses. Nothing is 100% bulletproof, as you probably know. Now, how do you manage and organize all of those things? There are some frameworks that have been created that you can adopt. Some of the examples are NIST, the National Institution for Standards and Technology. There is also CIS controls, ISO 27001, and others. The frameworks will really provide you the structure approach that you need for any size business. It's something that you really need to have a framework, to have a guideline that very smart people created and simplified. For example, the CIS controls, this is a nice framework that we actually adopted for most of our clients and to ourselves. And when you adopt a control set like this, you have about 20 policies that you want to create for your company, but each one of them is divided into 3 different levels. You don't have to go all aboard and go crazy with every policy. You can start with a basic level 1, and then work yourself up as your business needs require. The higher the policy level is, the more controls and more restrictions and more requirements you're going to have from yourself and from your team. It is really not realistic for small businesses to be on level 3 on the CIS controls, for example, unless it's a very unique and small business that actually requires a lot of compliance and security. We have a couple of clients that work with government entities and military. Those definitely have the requirement, even though they have less than 10 people. They definitely have that requirement to eat bigger bites of that elephant. Now, there's a quick self-assessment checklist that I recommend that you guys look at. We will provide that to anybody that requests that, and look at some of the basic questions there. Do you know your top assets? For example, servers, routers, anything that if it's down, it can cause a lot of damage. If it's hacked, it can cause a lot of damage. If somebody monitors the data traffic on it, can it cause a lot of damage, a lot of downtime, etc. Have you rated recent risks? Are mitigation plans in place? Are mitigation plans in place? And how often do you review them? Keep in mind that if you have a plan in place, which is rare for most businesses, even our bigger clients with a couple of hundred employees, they rely on their MSP or their manager or their in-house IT person, and they don't verify that what they need to have is something they have. Cyber insurance companies, cyber liability policies, questionnaires will ask you almost always these days, and in the last couple of years, do you have plans in place? Do you have a plan in place that you review annually for what if? Do you have policies in place? This is something that you will definitely need to answer yes if you want to qualify not just to pay the premium for insurance coverage for cyber insurance liability policy. They will take your money, they will take your premium, they will accept your premium and have you sign the agreement or the policy. But if something happens, if you look at page 500 of the policy, you will easily see that because you didn't have XYZ, which is something that is industry standard, we recommend, blah, 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 you will not be covered. Or even worse, if you wrote that you have something in place and you don't, it is a pretty big problem. It's pretty much a fraud, and that's a different type of set of issues. So quick self-assessment checklist, those 4 points should be something that you will easily be able to answer yes or no, and from there you can start taking more bites of that elephant. By the way, as a managed service provider and a security consulting company, this is something we can help you, and we do it for our clients. But if you have your own IT department, or if you are a CIO, CTO, and you don't have that in place, you don't know how to start, reach out to whoever is helping you with those things. Now, let's talk about an action plan. What can you do right now? It's a very simple question that's going to be confusing to answer. First of all, take an inventory of your assets. Remember, we spoke about assets. Assets are not just computers and servers. Assets are cell phones and any device that has connection to your internet, like smart TVs, for example. Assets are your printers that technically have a copy of every document that you printed since you bought that printer. Assets are your people and your vendors. Inventory them. Then perform basic risk assessment using free DHS or NIST templates. Just Google those, you'll find many of them online. Reach out to us, we can definitely help you get some of those. And you want to engage with AZRAMP or another local compliance team. Again, if you are requiring any help on that level, talk to somebody. There's no way that a non-experienced person that doesn't have experience with cybersecurity or risk assessment, risk mitigation, can deal with those things on top of their full-time job as it is. This is why working with a managed service provider for your law firm, for your insurance agency, whatever it is, you want to make sure you hire somebody that can help you with that. Part of a risk that we'd like to mitigate is something that I like to offer at the end of most of our webinars to take advantage of. So if you have a website, which I would assume most people do, you also have hopefully an email account that is not at gmail or yahoo.com. You have your own domain name that you use, for example, at yourcompany.com. If you have your own domain name for your business, and if you use your own emails, for example, you@yourcompany.com, you want to make sure that you are preventing as much as possible some of those issues like email spoofing, phishing attacks, email deliverability issues. And there are very few ways to actually know if your email and domain name and even your website are secured. Why do we talk about website? Another risk, it's another asset, by the way. If somebody hacks into your website and routes traffic from your legit homepage to another fake website, offering a special deal for your clients, if they just pay $5, they're going to get 5 of your hours for free. Or if they give you their information, fill out that form right now, they will get XYZ for free or whatever it is. A hacker can easily do that if they have access to your back end of your website. Protecting your website, which is your reputation, and by the way, your responsibility to protect that, is another important risk mitigation. So we offer that complimentary domain and email security assessment. There is a link URL over here, galluptechgroup.com/free-domain-check, or just scan the QR code on the screen here. We don't charge anything for that. We don't BS you with sales pitches and stuff. We actually did that about 2 weeks ago for one of our dear clients. And, well, he wasn't a client then, but he's a client now. We found that his website is very not secured. It's written with very old code, etc. And it's very vulnerable, also not mobile friendly, etc. His emails are not set up correctly with DMARC and DKIM. We were able to, first of all, help him get a new website for a very affordable amount within a matter of a few days, but also secured all of his email traffic, getting with the right deliverability abilities, etc. So I'm not going to try to sell you anything. We're going to tell you what's wrong. We're going to recommend some items. If something we can help you with, we will tell you what we can do for you. But take it, price it around, get your existing managed service provider to do it for you. Whatever it is, just know your risks. There is a hacking demo that I actually recorded, galluptechgroup.com/hacking-demo, or scan this QR code. I'm using a Word document over there to show you how a hacker can get in and control your computer and look at your keystrokes just by you opening a Word document. That's going to be a pretty big eye-opener for many people. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of questions about this and many other items that you probably want to know about your security. Gallup Technology Group is here to help people, and yeah, we are a for-profit company, of course, but we really believe that if we do what's right, we can't go wrong. We don't spend money on billboards, etc. We just spend our resources to help people, and this is what helps us gain that visibility. So first of all, share this webinar with others. Ask your friends that you think can benefit from those kind of pieces of information and half-hour webinars. We offer even CLE credits for law firms and other entities. If you have any questions, want to talk to us, feel free to reach out. That's my contact info here, galluptechgroup.com/Bates, or you can scan this QR code. Happy to help. If you have any questions, please reach out. I promised you we're going to be done on time. We're actually ahead. We have 7 minutes left. So on that time, take those 7 minutes, go prepare your risk vulnerabilities, prepare your checklist, start with somewhere. Let's make sure that you're able to present to your ownership or present to yourself a manageable next step and break that elephant down, start somewhere, Google some solutions, use AI, ChatGPT, Copilot, Bard, whatever it is. You can get a lot of information online, and let's just do something. Otherwise, somebody else will do something for you, and that's not what we want to see. Thanks again. Again, my name is Bates, Gallup Technology Group. I'm happy to help if anybody has any questions. Have a wonderful rest of the week, guys. Bye-bye.